Hi friends, let us start another chapter, Latitudes and Longitudes. First, uh, this is Earth, nothing but globe. Earth is a geoid shape, I already discussed. Geoid shape means flattening at the poles and bulging at the equator. So this is the shape of our Earth. Next, axis. Axis means there are some technical terms you can see in the image. Orbital plane, it's nothing but a plane that is a perpendicular to the orbit, and our earth rotates in tilted manner. So the axis is nothing but a imaginary line about which the body rotates. We can see in the image, this is the imaginary line. It's a north pole, south pole. It is in a tilted manner, so perpendicular to the orbit. This is the orbital plane, and the line perpendicular to the orbit is drawn, and from that line, axis makes an angle of 23 degrees. An axis is an imaginary line about which a body rotates. So Earth axis is tilted about 23.4 degrees. So that's why our Earth is rotating in a tilted manner. We can see in the image. Next, the tilt in its axis causes some of the places like Norway having 6 months daylight and remaining 6 months darkness in the year. So I will discuss this concept in the next video. Just remember, due to the tilted axis only, some of the places have 6 months daytime and 6 months nighttime. So next one, so we can see the orbit of the earth and axis of the earth, it is a tilted manner, not in a perpendicular direction. But moon's axis is a perpendicular in line. So what is the angle between the moon's orbital plane? Orbital plane means, we can see this is the orbital plane. So moon's orbital plane and earth's orbital plane. So the angle of equatorial plane is a different. In the next video I will discuss. So for now we remember only the angle between the moon's orbital plane and earth's equatorial plane is 28.7 degrees. So this is the point. Next, latitudes we can see in the image, they are parallel lines, nothing but they are also known as parallels. So this is a 2D diagram. We can see lines only, but they are actually circles, parallel circles around the earth. So the distance between each and every circle is the same, but they decrease in length. The biggest circle is equator, it is at 0 degrees. We can see it is at 0 degrees, it is the equator, it is the largest cycle. So largest latitude, and the length decreases, the length of the circle decreases from equator to northwards and southwards. So what is the small circle means, at north pole and south pole the circle is very small, and equator the circle is very large. So these are nothing but latitudes. So what is the use of this latitude? First one, so all parallel circles from the earth up to the poles we already learned, and all parallels from north of the equator are called north latitudes, and all parallels south of the equator are called south latitudes, and they are measured in degrees. How from what is the base of measuring of this latitude is pole star, the angle from the pole star. Next, so based on that latitudes, we can't remember all the latitudes, but these are the famous latitudes. So first circle is the Arctic circle. So first, starting from the equator, first is the largest circle, nothing but largest latitude is equator, 0 degrees, and thereafter from this 0 degrees northwards, 23 point north. From this 0 degrees 23 of northwards is a Tropic of Cancer, and 23 degrees southwards Tropic of Capricorn. And from this 23 degrees north, we move to the north, 66 and of north, it is a Arctic circle, and also same way south, 66 and of south, Antarctic cycle. So this is the important latitudes. First one is the equator, second one Tropic of Cancer, third one Tropic of Capricorn, next Arctic cycle, and Antarctic circle. And we can see the zones also, Torrid Zone, temperate zone, north temperate zone, south temperate zone, frigid zone. So we will discuss all these zones in the later video. So they are important latitudes, nothing but equator, tropic of Cancer, tropic of Capricorn, Antarctic cycle, Arctic cycle. So 66 degrees. We can also remember the degrees also, north pole, south pole, all these things. So equator is nothing but a 0 degree. At 0 degrees, equator is there, an imaginary line running on the globe dividing Earth into two equal parts. 0 degrees latitude. Heat zones of the Earth. We already discussed heat zones. Heat zones is a temperate zone, torrid zone, all those things. Let us discuss in elaborate. First, torrid zone. Torrid zone is where equator passes in the middle, and Tropic of Cancer is a border, and another border is Tropic of Capricorn at south. The sun rays falls almost straight forward in this torrid zone. So it is a more heat. Actually, it receives a more heat from the sun, so because sun rays straight forward falls on this zone. So what about temperate zone? We can see the temperate zone also, between Tropic of Cancer and Arctic cycle in north, and between Tropic of Capricorn and Arctic cycle in south. So in these temperate zones, the sun rays will not directly fall on that region; they slantly fall on that region. That's why they receive some heat, and less amount of heat when compared to torrid zone. So the heat is less when compared to torrid zone. So they are warm in nature. So that next, frigid zone. We can see the frigid zone at beyond Arctic circle and Antarctic cycle. They receive almost least amount of heat from the sun when compared to other zones. So that's why they are frigid in nature, nothing but very cold. So first, torrid zone, so heat zone, and the temperate zone, something warm, and frigid zone is cold in nature, because it depends upon the amount of heat received from the earth. So in which place most highest amount of heat received means at the equator. So guys, please remember, equator passes from which countries. So, and also Tropic of Cancer passes from which countries, and Tropic of Capricorn passes from which countries. I will make separate video for that session. Next one, heat zones. First one, torrid zone. We already discussed. It is between Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. It receives a maximum heat. Sun seasonally passes directly overhead. Actually, the space between the Tropic of Cancer and midday, sun is exactly overhead at least once on the year on all the latitudes between Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. So this is torrid zone. Next, temperate zone. You can see in the image temperate zone between Tropic of Cancer and Arctic circle, and Tropic of Capricorn and Antarctic circle in the image. North temperate zone, south temperate zone. Sun is never directly overhead. Actually, unlike torrid zone, sun is never directly overhead. Climate is mild, generally ranging from warm to cold. Generally warm and to cold. It's a near Arctic circle. And occurrence of 4 annual seasons: spring, summer, autumn, and winter. 4 seasons will occur. So next, frigid zone. We already discussed at the North Pole and South Pole, beyond Arctic circle and Antarctic circle. So very cold because less amount of heat. Area lying between the Arctic cycle and the North Pole in the northern hemisphere, and Antarctic cycle and the South Pole in the southern hemisphere. Actually, equator divides globe into two halves. So northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere towards south. Next, slanting rays. Because of slanting rays, it is very cold. So next one, longitudes. So first discuss the longitudes and compare with the latitudes. Longitudes, unlike they are parallel, they are perpendicular, nothing but they are also imaginary circles or lines drawn on the earth. So longitudes, we can see in the image, they are also measured in degrees. The lines referring lines running from the North Pole to the South Pole, and the distance between them decreases. The distance between one longitude and another longitude decreases at poles, and almost at poles they will meet. All meridians, the other name for longitude also meridians, and they meet at poles. 0 degrees, equal length. They are at equal length of circles. All the longitudes are equal length of circles. divides the earth. Actually there is a 0 degree circle, it divides the earth into two equal halves, eastern hemisphere, western hemisphere. So this is about longitudes. Then now let us compare with latitudes. Latitudes means we already discussed parallels. So the first point, they are also referral lines. They are also referral lines, but they are not running with south and north poles. But longitude runs from south pole and north pole, and the distance between them decreases steadily polewards until it becomes zero at poles. Actually, the distance between longitude and one longitude and another longitude decreases towards poles. But we can remember that latitudes, parallels, the name itself parallel, the distance is equal between one latitude and another latitude. All meridians meet at 0 degrees, but in case of latitudes, parallels, they never meet. Equal length, longitudes are equal length. So but latitudes, parallels are not in equal length, decreases from equator to towards the poles, divides the earth into two equal halves. That is also latitudes also divides the earth into two equal halves, but here eastern hemisphere and western hemisphere, but there northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. So this is the comparison. Next, in that longitudes, we have a prime meridian, nothing but 0 degrees. So 0 degrees longitude prime meridian, which passes through the Greenwich place. So that's why it is also known as Greenwich meridian. So at this prime meridian, the time is 12. If sun overheads the prime meridian, the time 12 noon. So not at prime meridian. If sun overheads at any place, the time is 12 noon, because the shadow is too short. So based on this prime meridian, the time will count. Actually, time zones will count. I will discuss in later slides. So next, so this is the international dateline. So there is a time meridian. Actually, this is a prime meridian at 0 degrees. From this 0 degrees, they will count 180 degrees towards south, towards east, and 180 degrees towards west. So then cycle will complete. 180 degrees towards east and 180 degrees towards west means we can see here from 180 degrees and here from 180 degrees. So it is a 2D picture. If we count like that, both the 180 degrees will meet, because it is a circle. 0 degrees, 180 degrees from here, 180 degrees from here, 180 plus 180, 360. Circle will complete. So the place where 180 degrees meet is nothing but international dateline. So this is the international dateline. So quite opposite of prime meridian. Actually, prime meridian is 0 degrees 12 noon if sun overheads. Then opposite place is nothing but 12 midnight. We can see this international dateline run towards the oceans only, nothing but water bodies only. It will not touch the land, because based on this international dateline, the day will change. So if it crosses through the land, then that land contains 2 dates. So to avoid that situation, it passes through the water body, unlike it is a straight way, unlike it is a straight like prime meridian. So that's why it passes from the water bodies, and that's why it is zigzag in manner, international dateline. What is the reason of international dateline passing to water bodies? Means if it passes through land, the land contains 2 dates, so it is difficult to manage. That's why it passes to water bodies. So it is a basis for date change. So 12 midnight. Next, so international dateline, 180 degrees prime meridian, from prime meridian, and 180 degrees east and 180 degrees west. So both are same lines. Next, time zones. We have a 24 time zones. If we actually, there are so many longitudes, we all those longitudes we can't identify. That's why the globe is divided into 24 time zones. So these are the 24 time zones. We can count, and the number is 24. So here find out the prime meridian. So this is the prime meridian, 0 degrees prime meridian, and also international dateline. This is the international dateline, towards east, towards west, both are same. So this is our time zones. So this is our India. So 5.5 degrees ahead. Actually, globe Earth moves longitudes and time zones. Earth divides into 24 time zones. Each time zone is a 1 hour each. Actually, from one time zone to another time zone, there is a 1 hour distance, and each Each zone covers 15 degrees of longitudes. Actually 15 degrees, each time zone is a 15 degrees distance. So 1 hour. So noon shadow is very short. Sir, actually I am staying at one place. Actually there is no time zone passing through that place. Actually okay, then how can I measure the exact time? It's a very simple. Manually we can measure, not only with reference to time zones. Manually we can measure. How is it possible, sir? Means noon, at noon the shadow is very short, so that is a noon. Based on that thing we can measure the time manually also. But our nations, all the nations follow time zones. Based on the time zones they will measure the time for the entire country. Earth rotates from west to east, we can see in the image. So this is the prime meridian, and from that prime meridian it rotates from west to east. That's why east, the countries which are eastwards of the prime meridian will receive, actually they are overhead when compared to west countries. So they are bit overhead and a bit forward. So the places of Greenwich meridian which will be overhead by the Greenwich time. Actually Greenwich time they will be overhead when compared to western countries. So identify the India. India lies in the eastern hemisphere. That's why we are overhead when compared to America, because it is located in western hemisphere. That is the reason. Who are overhead, we are overhead. Then Australia, compare Australia and India. Australia is nothing but overhead than us. So that is the reason, because it is towards east. So the countries towards west from India are backward, and the countries which are east towards east from India are nothing but overhead from India. Next, time calculation. So time calculation of the place. So how can we calculate time of the place? Earth rotates 360 degrees in 24 hours. It will one rotation completes in 24 hours 360 degrees. So means for every 15 degrees 1 hour. We already discussed. 1 degree 4 minutes. So let us imagine if the time is 12 o'clock at prime meridian. Okay, then what is the time at India? So if we count that time in India with reference to prime meridian, then we know how to calculate time with reference to meridians. Let us discuss the concept now. If at 0 degrees, nothing but 12 noon, at 180 degrees, that is midnight. So 180 degrees, actually if the 0 degrees is a noon, then 180 degrees is a midnight. We already discussed. So if there is a 12 noon in the 0 degrees prime meridian, then opposite 180 degrees, nothing but international daytime, it is a midnight. So we already discussed that thing. Next, our India, we already know GMT plus 5.3 hours. There is only one time zone passes through India, that is at 180, 82 and of east, 82 and of degrees east. So count the time. For example, if we take 15 degrees 1 hour, so 1 hour is equal to 15 degrees, then 1 degree is equal to 4 minutes. 1 degree is equal to 4 minutes. Then the time at prime meridian, that means 0 degrees, is 12 o'clock noon, that means afternoon, 12 o'clock. Then what is the time at India? So if it is 12 o'clock at 12 p.m. in prime meridian, then what is the time in India? Very simple. 0 degrees 82.5 degrees, 82.5 into, then degree, per every degree there is a 4 minutes into 4, then the time will come. Add the time to the 12 noon, then the time of India will come. So like way we can calculate the time. So that is nothing but the difference between the place, the degree of the place and the degree of another place, and find out the difference, and into 4 minutes, then that time will come. If it is towards east, then add the time to that point, to that place. If it is towards west with reference to the place, then minus, reduce the time. So very simple. So find out the difference of degrees, multiply with 4 minutes, then the result will be the difference time between the two places, that is in minutes. Then convert it into hours, and add the time to the place. If the place is towards east, east of prime meridian, and add the time into the place if the place is towards west. Any place towards west. So if we calculate that hours, it will come 5.3 hours. Calculate in the calculator and it will come 5.3 hours. Then add 5.3 hours to the 12 noon or any other place. If the time is other place is different, it is towards east, then at that time. So that's how we can calculate. So Russia have 11 time zones, but our India has only one time zone. So this is about calculation of time zones. Thank you. That's all for this video, and we will discuss remaining topics in next video. Share the video, subscribe the channel. Bye.